Muslim gangs in UK high-security jails are forcing prisoners to convert to Islam with threats and beatings. That's according to a new Ministry of Justice report. Well, the study was conducted at 3 top security prisons and found that Muslim gangs use violence and threats to push prisoners into conversion. The report says that forced conversions are becoming increasingly widespread in high security jails, and that is due to a number of factors such as social isolation, deprivation of liberty and also the need for protection. Well, there are almost 13,000 Muslim prisoners in British jails at the moment, about 15% of the total jail population. And then in March of 2017, we knew that there were 186 terrorists being held in British jails. 90% of them were Muslim.
Other prisoners are scared of us. They know they're only going to 3 other jails, and they know there will be brothers waiting there to stab them.
There is an underlying pressure for people to convert and join the gang, the tactic they use to befriend someone when they come in. If they don't convert, they will then start spreading rumours about them, that the person is a snitch, so that they will be ostracised. Then the beatings will follow.
Once I go to a Category B prison, I'll say goodbye to Islam. If I said I didn't want to be a Muslim, I'd need to watch out in case someone stabbed me. It's very dangerous to denounce Islam. It'll be nice to be true to myself.
Finish him!
I'd need to watch out in case someone stabbed me. It's very dangerous to denounce Islam. It'll be nice to be true to myself.
Jamal says he resisted that route after he was targeted in Belmarsh following a conviction for fraud.
Walking around the exercise yard, they come up to you and give you words of encouragement. You're going to get through this. We're all in this together. So there's a sense of camaraderie, and this sense of camaraderie is what they then use to manoeuvre against you.
Jail can act as an incubator for extremism. And so a government review published today has concluded that some preachers should be held in specialist units separated from the rest of the prison population.
We cannot have safe prisons. We cannot have prisons which are reforming inmates when we have these serious problems with extremism.
Every single one of you. Welcome to Supermax. The Australian has been given exclusive access inside Goulburn's High Risk Management Correctional Centre. We'll show you what it's like, who's here, and more importantly, what the community can expect when these men start to get out. We've only been inside the corridors of Unit 9 for 5 minutes and already the prisoners are getting towed. Our guide can feel the tension rising. He doesn't want the inmates too rolled up, so we move on.
It's rare to hear from serving prison officers, but 132 responded to an ITV News survey. 90% said radicalisation is a growing problem in prisons and that they'd heard extremist views from inmates. Many officers said segregation was the solution.
I believe that any prisoner with hardcore Islamist tendencies should be isolated away from the general population with others of the same thoughts.
Staff are too scared to tackle extremist issues due to prisoners making racial complaints.
Employ staff who specialise in this area to enhance staff skills to recognise signs of radicalisation.
But there are risks.
Would it create some sort of iconic status for the prisoners that are held in these units? And so radicalisation will reach out if they achieve that iconic status in these systems.
But the greatest fear is that extremist units might intensify the problem rather than end it.
They're prepared to die for their religion and they want lots of people to die with them.
When Supermax opened in 2001, it was home to our most violent murderers, rapists and crime bosses. But these are different times. Today, Supermax is essentially a jihadi jail. Supermax prisoners are only allowed to associate with one other inmate to prevent them from colluding. 2 men will share a common front room called the day yard, which are attached to their separate individual cells. So you've got the bed, you've got the shower, and you've got the toilet.
That's it.
And that's it?
Yes. So the cell is designed to be as safe as it can be. It has no ligature points, meaning that nothing can be tied off that could be used to harm a person or to harm themselves.
Today we notice that the men taking advantage of their special privileges are a Sharia law implementer, a terrorist recruiter and a member of the Pendennis Nine.
This is probably the best part of their day, would be walking around in this circle.
The next stop is Unit 9, where one inmate pauses from his letter writing, realises we're filming and proceeds to give the Islamic State one-fingered salute. In Unit 9, we see the mastermind of a major terrorism plot, alongside Australia's most notorious serial killer. He's one of the very few of the 46 inmates not on terrorism offences. The most disturbing thing about Supermax is the age of some of the inmates.
There is one wing where the average age, I think, is about 24 years old, and that is quite perverse.
The reason why these convicted and suspected terrorists are so young is thanks to the rise of Islamic State. In recent years, the Muslim extremist groups recruited far and wide across the globe.
In a dramatic day of developments, a 22-year-old
targeting fresh faces ripe for radicalisation. They found some here in Australia, and many of them are now the responsibility of the Supermax staff.
5 times a day, Goulburn's correctional facility goes quiet. In the yard of the general prison, dozens of inmates face Mecca and bow down to pray. For the general prison population, religion is a source of comfort, or just another diversion from the drudgery of jail life. A few hundred metres away in the fortress of Supermax, most of the inmates are doing the same thing. But there's a difference. Here, religion remains an obsession. It is the reason most of the inmates were locked up, and, as the years tick over, it's what keeps them going. In April last year, he was moved from Kempsey prison to the Supermax after he bashed his cellmate, doused him in boiling water, and carved E for E, or an eye for an eye, into his forehead. The guards call him the Carver. A few cells down is a young man at the centre of Australia's biggest terrorism plot. He was arrested in September 2014 over an alleged conspiracy to abduct and behead a random member of the public. These are the inmates Supermax deals with. They're inside either because they were too hard to manage in other prisons or because they're in for terrorist offences. Mostly the latter.
Worldwide there's decisions whether you cluster or separate or disperse. So New South Wales, rightly or wrongly, chose to cluster, and that's been the way we have managed these guys historically since. When you cluster, you have all of these people together naturally in one place. They're less able or likely to radicalise others in that environment than if they were spread out.
They're radicalising each other instead. The generation of Al-Qaeda terrorists sentenced in the aftermath of 9/11 are already coming up for parole. Few are already out. Khalid Sharif did a brief spell in Supermax after he was convicted over his role in the 2005 Pendennis terror plot to bomb targets in Sydney and Melbourne. It didn't do much good. In 2013, Sharif fled for Syria, where he was last seen brandishing severed heads and executing Iraqi officials in the sands outside Mosul. In August this year, Bilal Khazal, a 46-year-old former baggage handler convicted of making a terror training manual, will try his luck before the parole board. There's a reasonable prospect he'll get out. The others will start dribbling out in the years after that.
There's no God but one God.
When we visited the Lebanese yard in Goulburn Jail proper, the inmates made a show of praying but were far more interested in horsing around for the cameras.
Yeah, no, we got no problem. Any girls?
This isn't to make light of their beliefs or be naive about their crimes, but it was anything but a hotbed of radical preaching.
There are youngsters being radicalised and forced to join the radicalisation of young, vulnerable prisoners who then can become extremists as well.
Muslim gangs have grown in power and influence in jails all over the country, and the Prison Officers Association is concerned that they target vulnerable new arrivals for conversion, and that those who are Muslims already are being forced into more extremist views.
The prison population, I think, is generally very, very fertile ground for the recruitment of these extremists.
The more political Islam, the more extreme forms of Islam, I've been watching that phenomena for 30 years. I knew what was happening in the prisons for years, right? And I knew that nobody else was really watching. I mean, just as a rule, everybody has been sleeping, and then no one's paid attention to the Islamic activists that have fed off the discontent of the young black males in the prison.
In fact, the former chaplain of the New York Department of Corrections has been caught on tape saying some extremely radical things.
Brothers, be prepared to fight, be prepared to die, be prepared to kill. It's a part of the deen, and this ain't your brother just saying this. This is history, this is Quran, nobody can deny it. You think that there's no terror in Quran? It's called Irhab. Read it in the 56th surah of Quran. There's no lack of translation, there's no mistranslation. There's no one shaykh says one thing. No, it's very clear. When you fight, you strike terror into the heart of the disbelieving.
You speak to some prisoners and they will tell you, oh, I only joined it because it's better food. Or I've done it to get more time out of cell. Or I've done it just to be seen as to be part of a gang culture. I've done it for protection. I've done it because I was bullied.
Extremists who are ultimately released from behind these walls back into society.
Neighborhood. You know, I was walking towards this masjid with our Imam Uthman, and I asked him about this neighborhood, and he said this neighborhood is all mostly non-Muslim, predominantly white people, okay? And my question was, how are we going to give them da'wah? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put you and I in this country for a purpose, right? Yes? We have come here for a purpose. And the purpose is da'wah. The purpose was not to make shops and drive buses and do other things. MashaAllah, halal, earning halal is a good thing. It's not a problem. But why do you earn? The question is, why do you make money? Is it to feed your stomachs? Is it to buy gold? Is it to buy a flashy car? Is it to put a carpet in your house? All of these things will remain behind. This church was made in 1930s, right? And as the Sheikh put it, who was worshipped here? The Trinity. Yes? And now it belongs to the Muslims. Now it belongs to the Muslims. And if you don't stand up today, brothers and sisters, and take control of this situation which Allah has given you, this is an opportunity. And if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, tomorrow only Allah knows who will be controlling this building. Today,
my point is this: we are seeing a double standard and hypocrisy. Right, that is my point. Now my point is this, because my point is this: if it calls into question his character, that's the most fundamental aspect. How? Wait. Because
all of us were all going to the same lectures. Only when the heat in the kitchen got too hot for them. Only when the heat in the kitchen got too hot for them, oh, them man are extremists. It's not us, man. You man were in the same lectures. That's why I uploaded that video of my channel with Adnan Raschid in the same lectures when Sheikh Faisal was going prison for inciting violence and all them things there. See who's talking and backing him and supporting him, bro.
So the ones who are sitting at home will never be equal to the ones in the court. Now look at you, brothers. About 50 of you. I can see about 40 of you at least. Yeah? Now, it's easy to come and listen to the lecture, but I know it's very hard to implement it physically. When it comes down to when the test of Iman comes, you might think, oh, the kuffar media is there. They will take our picture. They will put us under surveillance. So what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. Allah is the protector. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. That's what we believe in. If we have Iman on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe in that Allah will protect us, regardless where we are. If you won't get caught in this today, tomorrow, they will come and knock your door. Now this case is very important for Muslims because this is the first step. This is the first step to make Muslims' life hell in this country. We all know that. I have no doubts about it. If anyone's got doubts about it, go and find out. This case is very important and this case needs our support. We have businesses, we have lives, we have children to take to school, but this case is important. Allah does not give opportunities like this every day for Muslims to come and join in. Now look at the story of 3 Sahabas. They did not go to jihad with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not speak to them for 40 days just for not going. And they were sincere, they were not munafiq. And most of us not even sure of our iman. We pray our salah. Do we have khushu in our salah? Do Allah want our salah? When the knowledge has to be implemented. One of our brothers is on trial. The kuffar are attacking him left, right, and center, and we're watching. Make dua for the brother. Make dua for the brother. May Allah protect him. What about yourself? What about yourself? When Allah knows what you have learned, what you know, and you haven't implemented it, Allah will ask you about the knowledge you had. Allah will ask you that you knew what's going on. What did you do about it? Just make dua. Like the munafiq used to say, oh, it's too hot in the desert. We can't go and fight. It's too hot, we'll die. It's the same as Allah will not put you in the same situation. Every time comes with its own sophistications. The time is sophisticated, the war is sophisticated, ideologically, subliminally they have effect on our brains, that they have too much of information, they have too much of media, they have everything behind them, and they're going to do us somehow. No! Allah is with us. If we're in haq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. So rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go and help your brother. If you don't, Allah will take you out. Somehow, Allah will take you out.
What really hurts some of these extremist Christians in the park is that I continue to have debates with the decent scholars, with their more informed scholars, with their more objective scholars, more respectful scholars who are not a bunch of haters. Respectful scholars who are not a bunch of haters.
Rasulullah said that anyone who knows, anyone who did not make jihad in his lifetime, and he knew the importance of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his life until the Yawm al-Qiyamah, and he will be answering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the knowledge he had.
They hate the fact, that I will always speak the truth. So while they're trying to shovel dirt on the truth, I'm just busting that dirt off, you get me?
You bust it off, Benjamin. You bust it off, man.
Man, them still when you try to make that move, that's the only time I have to beef you, when you become the oppressors. Other than that.
So for example, like, if you man like Adnan Raschid, if you man like him in the park, what would you class Adnan Raschid as? Adnan Raschid's a moderate Muslim, he don't think like me, You don't think that, innit, Go back. Listen, go back 10 years. Go back 10 years. You will see Adnan Raschid repping the same man as I rep.
I agree
in the
with that.
same lectures that I was in. All of us came from the same branches. It's just certain people just became cowards.
What branches are those? What would you say the labels are?
So, I don't know how old these lot are, but let me tell you something. 10, 20 years ago, 90s and 2000s, the Abu Hamza al-Masri, the hook guy you lot talk about.
The tapes reveal open incitement to violence and terror. In particular, from Abu Hamza al-Masri, who calls upon followers to kill the kuffar, or non-Muslims.
What makes Allah happy? Allah is happy when a kafir is getting killed.
The Abu Hamza al-Masri, the hook guy you lot talk about.
You see, the Islamic rule, if a kafir goes into a Muslim country and he's walking by, he's like a cowboy and anybody could take him. That is the Islamic rule, and this is the opinion of the fuqaha. It's not my opinion. If you read the books of jihad, you'll see. Kafir is walking by. He went inside. You catch him. What are you doing here? Then he's a boot. You can sell him the market. If Muslims cannot take them to and sell them in the market, then you just kill them. It's okay.
Sheikh Faisal al-Jamaica, all of these people are part of mainstream society.
That's the last question. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I don't know if sisters can hear me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala khairul anbiya wal mursaleen. Amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, I'll start with a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sheikh is in a problem today. His trial is going on and no brothers are turning up to the case. And we come to listen to his lectures. When we go to the Jummah, where he goes for Jummah, there are 500 people there. But when we go to the court, there are only 20 people or maximum 10, 15 people turning up to the court. So our salah, our zakah, and our sawm are no, I mean, I'm no one to judge, but I'm saying only Allah knows if they're being accepted or not. But our salah, when our brother is in problem and we're ignoring that, and we're not even putting our attention to that, and we're praying salah, and we're praying zakah and sawm, yeah, only Allah knows if it's going to be accepted in these circumstances. The biggest fard today, one of the biggest fard we have today to support the brothers who are in problems, right? So Sheikh Faisal, he's got his trial going on, and his barrister was saying that he was complaining that none of the brothers are turning up. What's wrong with the brothers? Are they too scared of kuffar? Or what's the reason why they're not supporting you in this? So what my request to brother is, volunteer to come to the court to give moral support to the Sheikh Faisal, as it's one of our biggest duties in this time, and reward will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support a brother in a problem. Like I just gave you an example of a book. Allah loved him so much for this reason. Rasulullah said, any Sahaba or Umar radiallahu anhu, all of his life is good. Anything he's done in his life cannot match with 3 nights he spent with Rasulullah just to be there, not to do nothing, just to be and sit down with him. So us going to the court and supporting Sheikh Faisal morally, only Allah knows what the reward is going to be for that. But I'm 100% sure, the brother's in problem and us supporting us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love us for that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us for that, inshallah ta'ala. So my request to brothers and sisters is to support Sheikh Faisal as much as they can, by any means necessary, inshallah ta'ala.
You know, because if you're, or should I say, when you're in the same position as the Sheikh, what are you going to do if everybody else is just neglecting you? So, you know, subhanAllah, just do what you can and just make sure you turn up at least one day. If you just commit to one day to say you're going to appear at the court, alhamdulillah, and that's one day we'll fill the gallery. So, inshallah, you know, assalamu alaikum.
The enmity between you and us is a thing ordained until the end of times. And all of you lot saying that all these Muslims going around the world killing, chopping up everyone. Let me tell you something, yeah? Shall I tell you from that era that I was talking about? These men rose up and they went back to Muslim lands. They didn't care whether they were Afghani, African, whatever they were from. You are messing with Muslim women and children. You are raping Muslim women. You are killing Muslim children. The black flags are coming, bruv. That's what jihad is. That's where jihad came from.
They're not showing the public the big picture.
جهاد ابتدائي معناه غزو العالم من أجل نشر كلمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في ربوع العالم.
If one wants to find out what is motivating, surely it's more sensible to look at what they actually say they're doing and what their intentions actually are.
The main goal of our jihad and resistance is to implement the law of Allah and to fight against the infidels all over the world and implement one religion across the world.
Jihad is a foreign policy to extend the Islamic authority all over the world.
نعم، ما نعتقده أن جميع الأرض لا بد أن تكون تحت حكم الإسلام. لا يخرج عن ذلك ذرة واحدة منه.
نحتل العالم من أجل أن تنتصر كلمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله على خطة موسكو وواشنطن وباريس.
In the world's most populous Muslim nation, a call for Islamic law.
So when we look at the conflicts in India, Chechnya, Gaza, Indonesia, Iraq, Somalia, and countless other countries, this is what's at the root, the quest for Islam to become the dominant religion and Sharia the law of the land.
It seems so preposterous and so unbelievable, but yet thousands and millions of people follow this and take it seriously.
We want to see Sharia here, and it will be.
the flag of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, will be, inshallah, in the White House, if that's what we choose to be. It just takes time. The American people are waking up now.
Allah does say that the whole world eventually will be under His ruling. The world will come down to where everybody obeys the laws of God. Simple as that.
There's no compulsion in Islam. That means we can't force it on you. But we will force Islamic Sharia, inshallah.
Why are you here? They will say, we're here for Islam. Muhammad did this. Muslims are doing this. You are this. You are associated to that. You are associated to a donkey in Morocco. Or you are associated to a goat in Gibraltar, or a camel part in the Sahara Desert. We want you to condemn the camel part. Okay, so this is how it is. It sounds funny, but this is how these people are, because they are a bunch of hate mongers and liars. That's why we have stopped. That's why they have an agenda.